Hello there, good evening, welcome back to the channel. As always, I'm Steve O'Matt. It's my pleasure to welcome you to Celtic World Order, and as always, to welcome my brother, my sidekick, my partner in crime, if you will, Paddy boy. How you doing, mate? It's good to see you. So late at night.
I know, that's it. All good, mate. The wife and the wee man are away to bed, so you've got me for as long as you need.
Well, we'll try not to keep you too long, but just a wee video here. Obviously, we had a wee friendly, if you will, a competitive friendly, albeit that, against Sligo there. 3-2 in the end. A bit of a slugfest, as we know, but we'll get around it. It was all change. A lot of fringe players, a lot of youth players there, and make it what you will. But it was a good run out nonetheless, and we'll have a wee look at that. But other than that, we want to just have a wee look back so far as we go into this very, international break, that boring period of being a Celtic fan. But I think it's came at a very good time because off the back of a disappointing result in Europe and a wee bit of a tough encounter against Ross County, perfect time to regroup, get ourselves back together and kick on for the second phase because we'll get some massive fixtures upcoming and we want to go into that. So we'll have a wee look back at how the season's been so far, what's been going on in the world of Celtic, how the performance has been, what have we thought about it, and what do we expect moving forward. But before we do that, just want to say warm welcome to absolutely every single one of you. If you're a continuing supporter of the channel and one of our subscribers, welcome back. However, if you're new, it's also a warm welcome to you. Just make sure to hit the subscribe, the bell icon as well. Every time we're live, every time we do an upload, you'll get notified. You'll never miss out on any of this CW content. If you want to help out, give it a wee thumbs up. You can share it out there if you like it. And if you want to go one further, you can, like 420 somewhere. You can be a member. It's a donation to the channel, no additional content. It just helps put all this together because everything we'll do will be absolutely free to you, but it costs us to put it together. And we greatly appreciate all your support. And finally, we are on X at CWPod1888, where you can get more Celtic chat, more garbage out your mouth there as well, or pearls of wisdom, depending on how you look at it. So, anyway, let's get down to business, as we say. So, yeah, Paddy, game against Sligo, and well, we saw the lineups. We knew exactly what we were going to get with international break, giving players a rest, first teamers. It was a chance for, shall we say, fringe players, guys in the periphery, and a combination of youth there. And it was a very much all changed with sort of starting 11 that we got there. A bit of a slugfest, a bit of a mixed bag. Quite a decent watch, I'd say, to the neutral. It was plenty of action, maybe not cutting edge, top tier action, but there was plenty of action nonetheless. And just we'll go through it, Paddy. So what was your thoughts there, my man, in general?
It was a hard watch. It was, for me, it was nice to see some of the young guys get a wee run out. Nice to see them playing a competitive game, so to speak. As Steve0777 says right there, talk to me about the Baniac. You knew straight away when we seen him in there was going to be one of these mistakes. Well, we got two of them out of him, didn't we? I'm sure we'll touch on that when you're breaking down the game, Steve. But it was nice to see the team. Valle getting a nice run out there as well. Young guys like Francis Turley, who's been on the periphery breaking into the team. Nice to see him there. It's just a game to basically look at what we have in reserve, basically. I mean, there was no really any first team players in there other than your Yang, Palmer, Valle.
And then even then, I suppose you can say are the first team. So as we say, it's all changed. Some of them were like, take for example the Baniac. We'll go on to the Baniac, right? We've said that a million times. Guy must be some done to have around the club, but he started. Why? Because, well, Schmeichel got to give him a rest, obviously. He's going to be out as well, probably international type stuff. You get Sinisalo, despite very little to no games, he gets an international call-up. So we're basically, he's there out of necessity. He gets a run out, and that's quite simple. A very much all change back four as well, which I thought was quite interesting with Vi. It was nice to see him. He needed to get more time as well in the team. But then a strange one, where we had Welsh at right back, where we've seen him at right back. We've seen Norotsky out to the side as well. With some youth in the middle and the centre back as well. All change. A couple as well through the middle. We had Bonner, we had Dobby, and we obviously had McCown in there. But I want to sort of focus preliminarily on the guys, Palmer, Yang, McCown, Norotsky, because these are guys vying that, because even though it's nice to see the young guys in there, if we're being honest with ourselves, it was pretty much for a run out. It was a needs must. It was, let's see what we've got out there, give them a chance in a properly competitive match. But for me watching it, I was keeping my eyes on these guys over the likes of, as we say, particularly Palmer, particularly Yang, and you were going to question where they were going with that. So I think that was the main thing there. And what do you think of any of them, Paddy? I mean, we'll get on to it, but we'll do our usual and break it down minute by minute, and all that kind of stuff. But in general, Paddy, out of the first teamers, the guys in and around the squad, what was your general thoughts? Was there a standout, and was there anybody that you thought really needed a wee bit more?
I thought Vi done not too bad. He was up and down that wing, as we'd expect it to be. McCowan had a pretty decent game. Palmer, listen, he got 3 goals, but it wasn't a glittering performance, was it? He was found out even at that level, cutting back inside too much and doing what he does a bit too greedy. None of his goals were special. They were all just kind of tap-ins, decent crosses, to be fair. Yang, in flashes, looks all right, but then he misses that sitter. And you just think, what's the point? What is he?
What exactly is a Yang? Is that what you're saying to me, Paddy?
Aye, that's basically what it was. You kind of look at it and you're like, this guy, you see flashes of brilliance for him. It looks like he can control the ball and it looks like he's comfortable on it. He beats players with ease and then just does something stupid. And it's just, can I come to expect it? So yeah, the best out of all of the kind of ones that we're looking at, essentially the kind of players for our squad, I would probably say was McCowan.
Yeah.
He was the one that
it was all about, as I say, it was all about getting yourself, if you're one of these periphery guys, it's about getting yourself in the shop window. Now, we started, if you watch the start of it, we got an absolutely classic Brent moment off Brendan at the start. I don't know if you saw it, where he spoke about, he says, this is an opportunity for players to go out and inspire. And then he proceeded to tell us a wee story, a wee spin of yarn about when he went and saw Celtic at a prime plump age of 10, when he went to say Celtic against Finn Hearts in 1983. And this was their opportunity to go out and inspire those young Irish fans and, the young players to go out there and inspire and show that you can basically go on and be anything that you want. And oh wow, that's my heroes out there. And I suppose you could, because if you were sitting watching it, maybe some of the performances, the Baniac, for example, you could be sitting there and wow, if he can get a game for Celtic, then I can get a game. So they definitely maybe inspired a few folk there. But no, as I say, I digress. I mean, the game started off, if we just sort of look at it in general terms, it was actually a relatively fast start, as we well know, because, it was quite thick and fast action early on, where it was 9 minutes and it was we're up and running. It's Palmer gets the tap in there. Nice quick goal. Happy days. Can't argue that. And it's actually Yang. It's one that goes in. It gets missed. And then Palmer bundles it home. But instantly, right after it, we're straight on it. And it's Yang. And he's a chance denied to make us 2-0. So a decent enough start there. And you're like, right, okay, here we go. But then, quick as you like, well, it's funny how these things happen. And the Baniac, the shot comes in, mate. And he just, what does he do? He just,
I don't even know. I'm saving that and I'm shit. Let's be honest. I don't know what the guy's doing. I have honestly no idea. How does he not catch it? I don't know. Is it lack of game time? Is it because, like you said in one of the other podcasts, he just goes into the training and plays pool and fucking watches everybody at the window? I don't know. I really don't know what he's doing there. It's an easy catch. There's nothing on the ball. Unless the ball slipped out his hands, I don't know.
He didn't cover himself in glory for the first, and then shortly thereafter, the second one, again, it does take a wee bounce, but it goes under him. You're thinking, oh my God, what's going on here? And I actually quite liked, I saw the social media for Sligo, and I thought they're at it, because they actually put one each. It's a thunderbolt in the top corner. Really, was it? And then the second one, they described as being another thunderbolt, is smashed in the top corner, followed by a thunderbolt, and I'm thinking, right, okay, you are absolutely at it. But against the odds, we find ourselves quickly down. We're 2-1 down early on in the game, but I thought the game was quite open, was it not? It was, as I say, as the title said, it was a slugfest. It was relatively low quality. Now, if you look at Sligo, for example, you can only take them at face value, what you're playing against. The one thing is, it's a competitive match. In terms of them, they're well into their season. In terms of them, they've played 32 games so far. They're actually 6th in the league with 47 points. But in terms of being a team, are they fantastic? Take the standards, you find it. They've had 13 wins and they've had 11 losses and they've -7 on goal difference. So they were never going to be tearing up as terms of opposition goes. But it was all about a competitive run out for the players to get a wee bit of competition. And I thought it was a fairly open game. You know, there was nothing, moments of brilliance or any great passes of play. And as we spoke about when you saw mass changes in the Falkirk game, obviously we've got to caveat it because we're bringing a lot of youth guys. But you'd like to think with the way that we want to play, we always talk about this development journey, the way Celtic want to do from youth through to B squad and so on and so forth, where the DNA, the style of play, the principles are there, similar to the way a Germany setup goes, where they play the same system all through their youth so that you can transition, drop in, you can see it. And certainly for me, I didn't actually see any of the Celtic DNA, if you will, in the performance. I thought it was just there. It was lacklustre.
I remember doing a podcast a while back. It was me, yourself, and Josh. And Josh had said that as well, and he spoke about the youth setup playing the same formation as we do and trying to play the same style of football so that when we get an injury or when these players are transitioning through, they come straight in and they go straight in because they're playing the same style of football. But I get what you're saying there. The players that were playing in that game didn't seem to have, not the intensity, not the knowledge of the positions. It seemed to be like a few of them were kind of just out of position for what I was kind of looking for. You do expect these guys to come in and know the position and the job that they're supposed to be doing. Other than young Francis Turley and the young lad that set the 2 goals up, I thought the rest were kind of lacklustre.
So, I mean, see a look at that. But let's just start off with some of the youth guys then. In terms of the youth guys that were in there, you mentioned Turley. Now, he's a guy that there was sort of, I guess, great promise for.
Yeah.
In terms of his performance, I thought looking at him, he was largely underwhelming. Now, again, not to discredit the guy. We're not here to pick apart. It's a friendly, like, at the end of the day, who cares? I'm more bothered about the first team names, your Palmers, you know, Yang and the sorts. They're the more the guys I'm looking at. In terms of Turley, I thought in general, he was very average, to be honest with you. One thing I would say is that he continually tried throughout the course of the game.
Yeah.
I thought looking at him, yeah, it was much change. You know, you had Bonner, you had McCowan, you'd him. As a midfield, very unfamiliar. Okay, very, very unfamiliar in terms of how they were laid out there. But I thought his positional awareness of where he should have been in the park was a bit lacking at points. And the game was very, very open. There was a lot of sort of cutting straight through the middle. You know, they were getting up and down the park quite easy. Massive gaps when they were getting, as I say, a few chances they get straight through us, you know, forcing saves out of Bain, etc. So I thought Turley, the position, his overall game was very average compared to what we've maybe seen before from him. But the one thing I did like about him was that he refused to give in. He had a stage in the game, he maybe had about 20 odd minutes where he was really struggling. He was really, really falling out of the game for me. But he didn't let it get him down. You know, it's easy for especially a young player, it's easy to get the head down. It's easy for you to just give up and say it's no happening and just burn up. He kept trying. And that's the one thing I thought was very positive. In terms of attitude and application, which we always say that is, that for me was the big takeaway for his performance at least.
100%. And that's kind of what you want for these young guys. Show a bit, show what you've got. Some of the other guys, when they lost the ball, the head went down, they didn't track back, they didn't push, they didn't try to win the ball back straight away like our first team would. You know yourself, guys like Bernardo, Callum, Hatate, whoever's playing in that middle of the park role, as soon as they lose the ball, they're straight back and they're tackling back for the ball. You didn't see that for some of the other guys, but for young Turley, he did. He was doing a lot of tracking back. Yeah, he was out of position. Yeah, there was a few times where he was caught out, but he's showing the passion. He's showing he gets it. He gets what it means to play for Celtic, and that's kind of what you're after at this stage.
Yeah, and in terms of our starters, you know, Bonner and Dobby, for me, they were largely just there. That's no disrespect for them. There was not much to write home, but for me, it was really, you know, it was Izaguzu will go on. He set up the last one. You know, bit a shorter period on the pitch, showed at least something. It's always about trying to show something. Turley, we've touched on, to say, it's not a great performance, hardly going to be putting that one, you know, as shining it and saying, look at how well I was playing for Celtic there. Definitely not. McArdle, I thought he was very good. I thought he looked very good technically, very sound on the ball, good control. But the thing again I liked about him, similar to actually when we saw McCowan first draw him in the team and getting brought on, he was wanting the ball. And you saw him, he was constantly like coming, looking, shouting, calling for the ball, putting himself about and playing with an air of confidence for a guy his age. You know, all right, there was a lot of young guys around him, but there was still a lot of senior players in there, but it still didn't change it. Usually when you get a young guy coming into the team, it's like they're just happy to be there. You know, they're just happy to be part of the setup and they'll wait about you. They'll not be kind of vocal. They'll just look for the ball when it's given them. You know, that's my peers. But he looked like he was wanting to be part of the team. He was coming looking for the ball and he was playing and putting himself about. So that for me was a positive. And I definitely thought out the young guys, I thought McArdle was definitely the best of the bunch.
Yeah, definitely. He linked up quite well with Yang as well. There was a few good wee 1-2s in there with him, which was nice to see. Yang passing the ball for a change. So yeah, listen, the wee guy was good. Set up one of the goals as well, didn't he?
Yep, absolutely.
A cracking game. Decent delivery as well, which was.
It was the second one. He actually sets up the second one with Palmer. It's a good wee bit of skill as well. It's his thing that I liked about him. Good technique, good control, good close control as well. He takes it out on the edge of the box. He chops one side, chops in. He gets a good delivery in the back post. So again, doing the right things, doing the fundamentals right and doing it properly. And that's what I liked about him. It's the other guys, for what it's worth, they kind of drift in and out. Agbear, for example, at the back, it all changed. But the back was similar to, for me, like Falkirk. It was so changed that it's really kind of hard to judge him per se because he's getting thrown in, but he's getting thrown in with guys that are not playing together. And again, we can talk and we can look at Welsh at right back, Rotsky at right centre half, they're guys that aren't playing together. But you kind of can look and maybe expect a wee bit more out of them where they might not be a familiarised pairing, but they're in amongst that first team squad. They're in those training sessions. They know the setup, so there should be a greater level of expectancy on it. If you drop Agbear into that random back four, I don't think it's fair to really judge him, particularly what's around him.
No, 100%. Like we spoke about Welsh and Narotsky before on here, and Narotsky, I'm just happy that he's not got injured. That's got to be at least now 30 minutes of football that he's played and he's not got injured. So that's a good start.
Well, on Narotsky, Paddy, you mentioned him the last time. That's pretty much the exact same thing you said there.
Yeah.
Again, he's another guy that, let's face it, he's playing out of just sheer necessity. And, you know, we don't always want to rattle on about price tags, but I mean, you look at how much we paid for him, for how little football he's actually played. It was imperative for him to play tonight. But it was also for me, like we've said a million times, it was imperative that when he played, that he showed something.
Yeah.
Now, for me, I just felt that he was, for lack of a better term, he was just there.
Aye,
he was just very vanilla. He was very, very vanilla. You know, he filled a shot. And the one thing we spoke about him before, obviously, is when he first came into the squad. You're like, oh, he looks comfortable in the ball. He marauds out. He's got a good eye for a pass. He sharps. He fires it in nice in the midfield. He tries to get things moving. I saw none of that tonight. Absolutely none of that tonight. I thought he looked slow. I thought he looked laboured. Yes, he's playing with a young guy beside him. I get that. But with his level of experience, his seniority, he should be at least able to chaperone that young guy. But through the centre continually, you know, Bain's having to make saves. They're getting through.
Yeah.
It was very poor for a guy, for his showing. And for me, it just made me question, what does the future look like for him? And we'll get on to Welsh. What does the future look like for Welsh as well? Because it's very clear that guys like CCV, Trusty and Scales, they're your selection of your first three. Make no doubt about it.
Yeah.
You know, it's Welsh, Narotsky, they're battling out to just stick about, in my opinion, in this squad.
Yeah, to be fair, I'd probably have Welsh over Narotsky at this minute in time. He looked more comfortable on the ball. He was the one that was kind of pushing forward and trying to drive us up the park a little bit. Like you said, Narotsky just looked laboured. It looked as if he was just there for a wee run out, just like it didn't matter. I know it was a friendly and it didn't really matter, but it's as if he had that mentality going into it. And it's not really what you want because, like you say, this is his chance to say, do you know what, Brendan? You've been struggling in this position. Look what I can do. Do you know what I mean?
Do you think it's fair to judge, as we said? Obviously, we don't want to be sitting here with the big waggy finger. This isn't here. I hate watching. This isn't about slaughtering guys. It's not. But as we say, in this close season, when the vast majority of the first team are sitting at home, and you want to consider yourself to be a first teamer, as I say, repeating again, Yang, Palmer, Vi, he is a first teamer, but he needs more minutes. But guys like Welsh, guys like Narotsky, is it fair? Should we be able to judge them as fans? Should we be able to look at that performance and, for lack of a better word again, go in on them for the kind of performance we got?
Yeah, I think you should. Let's be honest. If me or you get a chance to play for Celtic, we're going to play out our fucking skin. Now, these guys, they're living our dream. They're doing what we want to do. And I don't care what position you play, what kind of game it is, if it's a friendly or not. I want you to go out there and wear that jersey with pride and play for it. And you've seen that in flashes for parts of the game when young McCowan as well. And there was a few tackles and stuff kind of flying in there, which is what you want. You want to show a bit of passion. And I didn't see that for Narotsky or, well, Welsh a little bit when he was kind of trying to argue the case for a foul at one point. But other than that, there wasn't really any bite or passion shown by them. And I think there should be.
And that's the thing. We've also got, as much as it is a friendly match, we'll come back. As much as it is a friendly match, as much as it's a bounce match or whatever, it was a competitive match. We're playing against a team who, it's a big occasion for them. It's a big deal. Celtic over in Ireland, and it's a big effort for them. They're well into the season. So they're treating it as it's a friendly, but they're wanting to prove themselves against, for a lot of these players, their team. They want to go out there and want to do something. So, take the level as you find it. Are Sligo Rovers fantastic? Absolutely not. Are they on par with maybe some of the lower end of the SPL? Absolutely. Yeah. So I think you've got to be looking for something out of it. It's not like a glorified friendly match against, I don't know, you play some Spanish team and it's just all youth guys and you maybe go, right, it's just a big kickabout. Yeah. These guys are taking it serious, and you saw the way that they were playing. They were playing with passion. They were putting themselves about and they were wanting to make a good account of themselves. I just felt a wee bit disappointed in the likes of Narotsky, as I says. I thought, he's had the limited game time. You can always caveat, you can always levy that and say, not enough chances, needs more time on the pitch to look thing with. But it then comes back to the same cliche and the same thing that we said all the time, that minutes are so finite, and no matter what you get, you've got to show something. Now, the big question is, you look at it and you say, if I was absolutely desperate and I had a big crunch match, we go into, let's say, the Aberdeen game that's coming up, the next league game, we are strapped for centre backs. Do you feel up for it? Do you feel comfortable to say, right, Narotsky's starting? Because after that, I absolutely wouldn't have said. I wouldn't be feeling that way, mate.
No, definitely not. I'd rather start him in goals than Vaniac. I mean, but that's another thing. Even Peter Grant commented on that, what you were saying there. The Sligo Rovers players, their players were they were playing with passion. He says they'll be able to turn around in a couple of years and go, we beat Celtic. He says they won't say it was like a Celtic C team or whatever. It doesn't matter who played in that Celtic game. He says these young lads want to be able to turn around in a couple of years and go, we beat Celtic. And that's why they were given it. That's why they were playing. Mm-hmm. They had a reason to play, and it seemed to me as if Celtic didn't, if that makes sense. They were just out there, like you said, for a runabout. And that's kind of my.
You finish on the other two guys. I thought Vi was fairly steady, as he says, taking off. Hopefully that's a precautionary thing, just putting minutes into the legs. We'll find out if there was anything more to that. Hopefully not, as it says, because obviously we find ourselves getting this sort of international break with Greg Taylor being injured. Some people out there will say good. I think he's been very, very, very good, very steady, fantastic contributor domestically. It's good against Bratislava. Everybody had a nightmare against Dortmund, obviously CCV. So it was important for him to get those minutes. I thought he gave a decent account of himself, and I want to see more of him. I think that's one that I'm excited to see the development of. I definitely see something good in him. Finally, just to touch on that mixed up defence, Welsh at right back. We've had question marks over him, mate, for a while. We said about keeping him around for that international Scottish contingency for Europe, etc. For me, I think that's very much there. In terms of performance-wise, much akin to Nawrocki. I think he was very, 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 very good. Sorry, not very good. He was very similar to Nawrocki in terms of he offered not too much. What I would say is good, if you will. What I meant by good is he at least tried to get involved in attacks.
Yeah.
He was
He brought the ball out of defence.
similar, even though he's at right back, similar to what we've begun to see for Scales. He was trying to carry the ball in a wee bit. He was trying to get involved in the attacks, and he was trying to, pass and move and make things happen and build up attacks. However, again, for me, I think he's slow. Positional, I think he's poor. The biggest thing he's always got, and I don't think he'll ever be able to coach that out of him, is very slow. On the turn particularly, I think he looks very, very slow. Often caught there, positionally very poor for me. And the question again is, I've seen a couple of people saying he needs to be repurposed. He needs to be repurposed. He can't be played as a centre half. Maybe he needs to be worked as a sort of right in front of the defence, deep defender, just to mop up. And we need. I don't see any of that. I personally don't. I just think for me that Welsh is maybe outstayed his welcome. And I want him to succeed so much. He's one of our own guys. He's a local lad, and to you and I want to see him really, really do well. But for me, I can't say how many times do you give him a chance. Sometimes he can look fantastic, but it's in flashes. And again, against Sligo Rovers, no disrespect to them, you'd expect a lot more out of him.
Yeah, you do. Like you said, one of our own. He's a decent enough player. I don't think he had a relatively bad game, but he didn't light it up. It was what I think you're kind of getting at there. But he did go forward, and like I say, it was better than Nawrocki. And it wasn't exactly the captain's performance you were hoping from him. Nice to see him getting that wee chance as well. Yeah, it was a kind of lackluster performance, basically, but it was better than.
Yeah. So I suppose if you look at the result, mate, as we say, is a couple of guys, they just flashed through the chances. There was a lot of decent chances for Sligo Rovers. The Baniac, we've covered them. Absolute nightmare for the 2 goals. I actually thought, for what it's worth, to give him his dues, as the game went on, he did make some decent saves, and that would have helped his confidence. But I think if we're being honest with ourselves, like, that's probably the next time you'll see Bain play for maybe, I don't know, 2 seasons, if he's still about. Like, genuinely, not even being funny about that. I just think he's going to be one of these guys that the next time you maybe see him will be in pre-season when you change the goal 3 times in a game or something like that. I think that's just, it was a means to an end to play him. But I did think that as the game went on, he made some saves that he had to make because, as we've just highlighted, defensively, the guys just weren't doing it. They were getting touches, they were getting through, and he was having to make saves. So fair play to him in that terms. But for me, Bain, we can just shelf him, put him to the side. There's not much to really mention about Bain. But the other guys to mention are obviously Yang, a couple of chances. McCown gets a few that are off the line. We get one that Yang will go on to when we talk about him, skies it over as well. Obviously, the chance nearly to make it 2-0 early on in the game. And then after that as well, you get I guess you could say the hero of the game is the 2 goals. Well, 3 goals in the end from Palmer, but the 2 late ones, almost identical. One's at the back post with a knock-in. The third one I actually think is a pretty decent finish because it comes in quite fast at him. And it's about that sort of mid-level where he has to hit it home and control it. So he does do well there. But if he's to be the headline hero of the game, talk to me about Palmer, mate. We've talked about resilience, and we actually saw the comment. It was Josh had put it out on his social media where his father had been speaking about him, saying that he wants to knuckle down. He's taking himself off social media, probably because of the backlash, I suppose, as well. A lot of negativity as well, for being fair. We include ourselves in that. But he wants to focus on playing at Celtic and he wants to knuckle down. What does tonight do for Palmer, if anything, Paddy?
It's going to give him confidence, isn't it? It's going to give him that wee boost that he needs. We've said it before. He's a decent enough player. He's greedy. He's too greedy. He doesn't go to the byline enough for me. But we know he can finish, and he can finish at the highest level. We've seen it in the Champions League as well. He scored there. He is a player. There is a player there. I always say that about people. Well, there's definitely a player in there, but there is a player in there, and he's starting to show this resilience that he's been talking about. It's nice to see him on there. Nice to see him on the score sheet. It reminds me of a player that we had a wee while back as well. I think somebody put it in the chat.
Who would that player be?
Oh,
Paddy's away, no. You there, my friend?
I'm still here. They're cut off. I don't know.
A wee weird glitch, but you went to one side, I went to the other, then we switched over again. But who does it remind you then? Talk to me.
Abada. It really reminds me a wee bit of Abada. He's not got the ability of Abada.
Oh, come on
He's
now.
not got the ability, but listen, when he cuts inside and he cracks the ball, like Abada used to do it for the other side, he would always cut in and then bend it in with the other foot. You see that for him all the time. He tries it constantly. And that, I think because he does it so often, he's starting to get caught out. He's starting to get found out with it. And I said that on here before. He's like a one-trick pony down the wing, scared to go to the byline to get the cross in, which Dyson and Kuhn have been doing every single game for us. He's always cutting inside and going for the glory himself. I think if he learns a wee bit more, and as it kind of comes to him, it becomes more of a team player, and then we'll start to see a better guy there. Yeah, similar. That's kind of what I'm trying to touch on there. He's similar to Abada. We got loads of goals out of Abada through similar situations, and the guy can finish. We know he can finish.
So see with that, Paddy. See, to push back a wee bit, you're saying, well, of course, scoring goals is always going to be good for players' confidence. Yes, it is. As we said, it started off fairly decent, I thought, as did Yang, as did generally the team for that first 9 or 10 minutes, and then it sort of got a bit wishy-washy. I've often says with Palmer that I expect a lot more for him if he wants to make a mark in this Celtic team. It's about work rate, it's about application, it's about attitude. Scoring goals is nice. And scoring goals, 3 goals against Sligo, yeah, is what it is. Take the opposition, take goals, whatever you want to do. He's still got to score them. So congratulations if he does well. He'll take that match ball home, and he'll still be proud of it. And hopefully it'll be something that he can look at and it'll give him a wee bit of confidence and think, right, I want to kick on for you. Yeah. But I have said before that if you take a game from Palmer and you take either his goals out that game, goal or goals, or assist out that game, how's the rest of his game? How was the rest of his performance? For me tonight, personally looking at it, I say well done on scoring the goals, but I think it masks a multitude of sins still. Now, folk will sit there and say, Steve, well, come on, you're giving a guy a hard time. He's damned if he does, he's damned if he doesn't. I am saying well done, he scored the goals, but what I'm saying is I think other than the goals, really, I didn't see a lot from him. So the question is we've said, what does his future look like? I think as a winger, it's toast. But is there a repurposing of him that could be done? Could he play as like a false 9? Or I've said I don't see him get into the Celtic team as a 10, but could he be used more as an impact sub who's deployed in one of those roles to offer something different? Because he's not going to get down the wing. He's not going to beat a guy and fire in a brilliant cross. He's more through the centre, generally, as you've rightly pointed out. Yeah. So is there a repurposing of Palmer in that sense?
Possibly. I mean, you're saying there as well that the guy's had a Snyderia game. He did have a Snyderia game, but he scored a hat-trick. And do you know what? See if he played against Aberdeen when we play them, and he has a Snyder against them, but scores a hat-trick. Fucking take it. Right, you will. Do you know what I mean? The guy hasn't played his best, and he still managed to score 3 goals. And like that, I get what you're saying. People look at his numbers and say, yeah, numbers-wise, this guy's got this, he's got that, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, he's a decent player on paper, but there is times where he drifts in and out of the game. And I think when you're used to guys like Kuhn and Maeda constantly driving and constantly doing everything that you want from them, that's what you come to expect. They've set a standard, and Palmer isn't up to that standard. Basically, what Gary's saying there, yeah. That's what it is. And do you know what? The guy scored 3 goals, brilliant. Yeah, he didn't really do much else. Can I see him being repurposed into our position? that would mean Brendan would have to change the formation, really, wouldn't it? And I can't see that happening.
But maybe if not so changing the formations, I says maybe using him as an impact. Now I've said here at times, do I think he's the kind of guy that if you are needing to knuckle down and chase a game, does he offer you that? Well, I still think that his work rate has a lot to be left to be desired, but he really needs to work on that element of things, because even tonight where, you know, we were having to dig in, he wasn't really working, he was just doing his own thing, he wasn't really showing much grit and determination. I wouldn't say he was fortuitous with the goals because he had to be in the right place at the right time, but it was he was literally doing what he was expected to do. Balls in the box, be there, and you buy a ticket, you've got a chance. Just everything else in terms of the rest of the overall game, that's the bit that I'm trying to get at, Paddy. Whereas I think, is he going to get, like you're saying, if he scored a hat-trick against Aberdeen, for example, you take it. The question I'll ask you off the back of that, much like I did with, would you be happy to drop Narotsky into that game?
No.
Could you see that making any difference to where Palmer features, if at all, in the game against Aberdeen when it comes in the corner?
No, I can't. Even though he scored a hat-trick, he could have scored 6 tonight and probably still not started against Aberdeen. If Dyson's fit, Dyson starts. It's as simple as that. And you're not going to play Palmer on the other side.
But then, again, bringing it back to that, then not just the starting, because forget starting. I think starting is out the picture. I'm just talking about even Celtic are up 1-2-0, or even Celtic are drawn. It's more likely that Forrest comes on before him, does he not?
I don't know. Maybe this could play for him. This could be the start that he's needing. I'd like to think that if he's on form, if he's confident, like I say, the hat-trick's going to give you confidence, if nothing else. So going into the game against Aberdeen, if at one point in 60 minutes it's either one each or we're winning or whatever, he's a player to come on and give you something different. He's not going to bust to the byline like Dyson. He's going to cut inside and try something different. So yeah, he offers something different on that wing. So that's something, isn't it? It's
yeah. Well, the last one before we move on to other affairs, just to wrap up the sort of game and the performances, I think the other first team guys are in around the first team. I think for me, McCown was obviously the standout. I think out of all the guys, he was brought into the squad, and I think we've said this before, he is first team ready. He's a guy that I would be more than comfortable with using my regular rotation. In terms of the performances and where we're at with the guys on the pitch, I think, that's pretty much the gist of it. I think for me, looking at it, it's definitely, for me, McCown is a standout. Looks comfortable. You can put him into that side. No bother at all. No issues. Fully confident in him doing his thing. Just says, I'd even go as far to say, if you have to drop out, McGregor, for me, he's the standout guy that can fill that role. Put him straight in. Not an issue at all. The last one, when I was there, I'm not sure if you really covered it, but was Yang. And we've often says, what does the sort of future hold for Yang? Is he going to be the kind of guy who has got any sort of long-term future, or do you think he's going to go down that same route that we did with O, where it's in and out, and eventually he's either loaned out or he's eventually sold on? Because I thought, albeit he looked in flashes that he was doing the right things, it still looks a wee bit lightweight for me. Fades out the game very easily, and it's just, he just doesn't have that next level up that's required.
Yeah, when you were off, I did speak about that. I spoke about the chance that he ballooned over the bar as well. I said maybe we could have blamed the pitch for it. I don't know. But, to me, he's got to be finishing that. I think he's going to be one of these periphery players who's going to drift in and out of the squad. I think he's a decent enough player. He is quite a talented young guy. But, like you say, he's too lightweight. And for me, he doesn't have the end product. So that's kind of roughly where we're at. Can Brendan take him under his wing and make him into a coon? Possibly, but it's a long shot for me.
Aye, no. Well, if we look back, what I really wanted to cover off the back of that football match tonight was just a wee look at where we are so far with the season and where things have been with Celtic so far. So overall, it's been 11 games, 10 wins, 0 draws, of course, 1 loss, quite heavy one in Europe. In terms of how the performances are going, 36 goals scored, 12 against, still plus 24 in all competitions. So when ourselves domestically, 7 wins for 7, 22 goals scored, 1 against. It's a right flying start. Some really key results there. Obviously, notably beating Rangers. I suppose we all thought Hearts were going to be something more than what they've turned out to be so far. But again, another big result quite early on, I suppose, in the season as well. And in the League Cup, things a wee bit different there. 8 goals for, 3 against, of course. 2 of them being in that heavy rotated game against Falkirk, and of course, but the other one, an absolute cracking header in the Cup versus Hibs. Champions League, decent enough start, bright start against Bratislava. I think we got a real hard reality check when it came to the game against Dortmund. But so far, in terms of performances, are you quite satisfied? If I was to offer you that at kick-off of the season, the defeat to Dortmund aside, would you have been a happy man?
Yeah, 100%. League record's been incredible. Other than the penalty last week there, no goal scored against. And Casper's pretty much hardly had anything to do. So defensively wise, we kind of solidified it a little bit. Obviously, the loss of Casper, and Carter Vickers in there has caused us a few problems. But I'm relatively happy with the way the defence are playing. We slated Scales and Taylor pretty much all last year. I think both of them have come back in this year and been absolutely brilliant. The resurgence of Greg Taylor's been absolutely incredible. Alistair Johnson's kicked off where he was. The guys that we brought in for the middle of the park, obviously Bernardo, we knew what he could offer. So that was a good addition into the squad. Sometimes it's better the devil you know. Bringing in Arnie Engels, obviously the price tag, we were going to be expecting big things from him. Do I think he's delivered it? To an extent, yes. I would like to see more. I think the Dortmund game, I was disappointed in him. Obviously, like you said, nobody really had a good game in that. The Bratislava game, he was incredible. And a few games here and there in the league, he's been the standout, shall we say. Other guys obviously coming in. Ida, I think he's still to kick on. Obviously, a goal the other week there will help him with his confidence as well. We spoke about that obviously there with Palmer.
Ida's actually not too bad. We forget he's got 4 goals so far
throughout
the course of the season. So not too bad though.
You expect more. You've paid $8.5 million for him. I'm expecting him to come in the door here and start a wee bit faster. He's a striker. He's your bread and butter. So I think he's got a wee bit more to do to kind of win me over anyway. I don't know about everybody else, what their thoughts are on it, but I think he's still got a fair bit to do. And I'd like to see that. Kuhn, for me, he's been the resurrection. He's been absolutely incredible.
He's outstanding. 8 assists, mate, 6 goals. What a turnaround there for him. I think that's definitely, no doubt, he's for me the sort of key man. So we look at some of the guys that are the top performers for that sort of snapshot of the season so far. Him with 6 goals and 8 assists, but then Maeda as well, 6 goals and 2 assists as well. So there's a massive turnaround in 2 players. Maeda always offered you something. Maeda was always an asset to the squad. We worked great, and he was always a constant threat one way or another, and he would chip in with occasional goals. But in terms of kicking off and starting sharp and adding goals to his game and adding a more complete package to his game, he's definitely one of those guys that have done it. So they're actually your 2 top performers in the squad, and then it sort of drips down. You've got Kalmak, you've got Kyogo, you've got Ida all on 4 goals as well. Obviously, Kyogo goals against Rangers as well, so that's obviously going to give you a wee tick as well, as far as when you're a striker and the expectancies it was going to be happening as well. And a quick start as well, adding goals to his game, has been Cal McGregor. So we're looking very, very good. There's been a lot I've been picking up in terms of the new signings, and you mentioned Darnell Engels there. I've seen a couple of various comments, and I think it's a wee bit unfair. So says that price is always going to be something, a big stick that folk will use to batter you over the head with. But on the whole, I would actually say I've been quite impressed with him. Look, everybody had a shocker of a game against Dortmund. I think he definitely did. Much to my surprise, I thought he would have, had a wee bit more of a grasp on what he was going to be up against in that game. And certainly, I thought he was very poor in his last outing as well. But I think some of the reactions to him have been, very unfortunate. They've been unwarranted, and I think folk are quick to jump on it. We do forget price doesn't guarantee that you're going to be amazing for the off. I think he looks as if he's shown he's got all the tools, and he is going to be a player that is going to completely kick on and transform. I know it's completely different in terms of price tag, but if you remember when O'Reilly first came in, there was a lot of doubts around him, and he had brilliant games, and then it was up and down. You might just find that that's going to be par for the course with Arne Engels, but I think he'll come quicker, better than he did out here, saying O'Reilly.
I hope so. Like you say, he's had some very, very good performances, some man of the match performances, especially the one against Bratislava, said there before. I thought he was incredible against Bratislava. The other guy, obviously in the middle of the park, McCown, we've not even spoke about him. We said about the game tonight, but when he came on the other week as well, he totally changed the game against Falkirk. Obviously, puts the ball through as well for the final goal, and I just thought he's a player who knows the league, who knows what it means, and he's a Celtic fan as well. And I think that he gets what it means to play for Celtic, and you see he kind of wears his heart on his sleeve when he is playing as well, and he's giving you 100%. You obviously spoke about Callum there as well. What a start the captain's had. Stick him on for double figures this season the way he's playing. I don't know if that's happened for a long time or if he's ever done it, but that'd be incredible.
I take Addy's game there. Of course, we've got other guys that we've touched on for last season. Obviously, James Forrest is, he's still continually contributing as well. He's got 4 assists his name as well. Got a lot of goals coming from all over the place, and we're scoring, which is really, really good to see. Another one that's been surprising as well, we look at the defensive side. Carter Vickers is always the go-to. He's always been sort of the goalie that's held that together. But again, a guy that's turned a lot of opinions, ourselves included, has undoubtedly been Liam Scales. Liam Scales has been fantastic this season. And, he might not be the most fashionable name. And as Brendan Rodgers rightly said, sometimes with the homegrown guys or your sort of British or Irish guys, because they're not big, attractive foreign names, they maybe get a wee bit of a rough ride. And I think that's definitely been the case for him. He's been absolutely phenomenal. He's been solid all the way through. Even in the game against Dortmund, where everybody was largely horrendous, he was one of the guys that could hold his head high. He was always putting himself out. He wasn't shying away. He was, trying to make the right tackles and, getting involved. Never gave up in that game. He was fine always in battle, as was everybody else. But he's been fantastic. And then also looking defensively as well, as you've touched on a million times, the relationship between Kuhn and Johnson down that right-hand side has been fantastic as well. And we've actually seen goals and assists for Johnson as well, 2 apiece there as well. So, that's good to see as well that we're getting a wee bit more sort of supply. Taylor's chipped in, I think, with about 3 or 4 assists as well this season. So our defenders are chipping in on the attacks as well.
Aye, that's what you want to see. I mean, you look across the city at the other team in Glasgow, they're nowhere near. Their goals are coming for 1 or 2 players. Ours are for everybody. There's not one person in that team that you could basically say, right, secure him down and that's them gubbed. Callum's chipping in with goals. You've got, like you say, you've got Kuhn, you've got Johnson the other week there as well, Kyogo, Ida. So, I mean, everybody dies and we're all kicking on. I'd like to see a bit more from Rio Hatate. Obviously, somebody said was it the other week, he's due a good game. He's 1-4, so get him on against Aberdeen and we'll see what happens there. But I don't know what the deal is. Hopefully Rio kicks on and he can show a wee bit in there.
No, it's been very, very good. And I think as well in terms of additions to the squad, Trusty, we'll see a wee bit more of him. I thought against Ross County, he started to show a wee bit more of what we could expect. I think the hard thing for him is going to be when Carter Vickers comes back, of course, it's going to be a straight shootout between him and obviously Scales for the left-hand side of things. So he could find game time a wee bit limited for him. He might be getting chucked in and making that deputy at the sort of right-hand side as well. Obviously, that gives you the problems of maybe 2 left-footed, naturally left-footed guys playing there. But
by and large, I think you can get away with it because he's not going to be displacing, Taylor or Valle, to be honest. And other additions in terms of upgrades, if you will, I think Kasper Schmeichel's been a huge upgrade, and definitely talk about value for money or not spending money. He's been something of a phenomenon. Again, folk will criticise the performance against Dortmund, maybe statuesque at times and beating their post, but when he's been asked to be called on in every other game that's been put against him, he's come up with big saves and big performances and went a long way to, why our goal difference is plus 24.
Yeah, no, that's it. He's been absolutely brilliant. Most of the games in the league, he's not really had much to do, but when he's been called upon, he's been phenomenal. You look at the game against Rangers, that save he makes with McCausland, I think it was, near the end of the game when he's running through 1-on-1, and Kasper does a big thing where he spreads himself right out. That's his kind of trophy save, isn't it? That's the one that you expect for him or his dad. I thought that was incredible, especially at that point of the game where he's not really had much to do. And he comes out and pulls off a save like that. His penalty save the other week against Falkirk as well was decent enough, even though he was off.
He was off the line.
It was a decent save. He should have just went that way again for the second one, and would have been sound there. But yeah.
No, I mean, by and large, the team has been good. We've touched on guys a wee bit. We're not flog a dead horse. We folk that maybe need to pick themselves up if they're going to find, themselves involved more. Palma, Yang, we've covered them as well. Hatate's been a big player that when he came back at the tail end of last season, he was, he looked like a massive addition to the squad. You sort of saw the best of him and you thought, right, this is what we've been looking for, this is what we've been missing. This season he's finding it a wee bit harder because, obviously there's more competition. There's now Engels in the building. You've got Bernardo. He's a good hot start as well. He's looked very assured, very, very confident and very positive. So things have been getting harder for him. With Hatate, I've seen this a lot on social media. I've seen it in other comments. I've seen it in forums. I've seen it in our podcast, people talking about it in the comments and the likes. There seems to be this idea, this perception that he's losing his way a wee bit. And we always talk about this, the body language and how he looks and when he's playing. And a lot of people are saying that he seems like a guy that's cutting a frustrated figure, that initial pre-season buy-in that we saw from him has faded really quickly. And performances have been up and down. Do you prescribe that? Because I know he's one of your go-to guys in terms of, standout performers and somebody that you have great praise for on the side. What's your thoughts on his season so far? And again, looking at this international break, it's a time to recalibrate, reset for some guys. Are we going to quickly see the best out of him, or does he look like a guy who maybe believes that his time could be limited?
Possibly. I mean, I know he said he wanted a move as well. I think there's been a lot of things in there that have affected his game. But players coming in your position should be the ones that are really pushing you on, and this is when you'd want to kind of kick on and do a little bit. For me, Rio, he does the hard stuff really well, but the easy stuff not so much. And that's what's so frustrating. He gives the ball away far too much for me. I hope the head's not went down. I hope that's not the case. But we know he wants a move. But for me, then he should be pushing on and showing that he has got the ability and getting teams in there as well. So I would love to see him kick on and actually start to see the Rio of old. We know he kind of drifts in and out. Like they said, you get a couple of good games out of him, then a couple of poor games. Fingers crossed that he kind of gets it back. Listen, I've seen this as well here about the hurricane hitting Florida. I was actually on the phone to one of my friends earlier. He's out there. He's in Tampa. Guy Jose, and it's fucking horrible. So listen, God bless, and I hope it passes. I hope it's.
Definitely.
I hope it's fucking. What's this?
So back to the business in hand. So far, Paddy, as we meet this point, coming into this new international break, we have you come back. Massive fixtures round the corner. 19th October, Aberdeen at home, as we well know. That's not going to be televised. Celtic have done the right thing by the fans, the paying fans. They've turned away that sort of TV deal. Negligible. I think it's the right thing to do. Proper kickoff time, 3 o'clock, massive match. Then, of course, 23rd is that huge away game, Atalanta, as we say, off the back of the disappointment at Dortmund. Hopefully we'll maybe see some sort of lessons learned. That's what we're looking for there. And then we're straight into it. We've got Dundee, we've got Motherwell, but then we've got a cup semi in early November against Aberdeen as well at Hampden, and then RB at home. So it's a huge, massive schedule that we've got coming up just between those next 6 games. To this point so far, we've looked through it, very impressive on paper. How would you rate, if I was to give a rating out of 10 so far, Celtic up to now, between now and the start of the season? How's it looking for you? What's on your report card in terms of overall performance, and who's your standout man?
For the week, my standout's probably been Callum McGregor, if I'm being honest. I just feel like he's come in, done what you expect your captain to do. He's took all the new boys in under his wing, told them what it means to play for Celtic, and he's been phenomenal doing so as well. The Rangers game for me capped it. His goal against them was absolutely phenomenal. I just feel like he's been the proper player this year. He's actually really, really went for it, better than what I expected. I know you always expect your captain to do well. He's the one that's in there. He's the one that drives the team forward and stuff. But it really has been the standout for me. Performance-wise, like I say, it was a game against Rangers that really stood out. I was impressed with the Slovan Bratislava game. I don't know what I expected in that game, but we went out and to win with that
5-1 huge, no matter who you're playing against, I suppose. Particularly in Europe.
Especially there's no diddies in the Champions League, so to go out there and do that at that level for me was a big turning point, because we've not seen that in a few years anyway. So that was really, really cool. The new boys coming in, I'd said about it before, it's nice to see like for like coming off the bench, taking off a player of Bernardo's standard or Hatate's standard and bringing on Engels and McCowan, guys that are over.
Yeah, there's actually a proper level of depth now where you look at the bench and think they can make a difference. And that's undoubtedly something that's we're crying out for last season. You always felt like you had a starting 11 and then maybe 1 or 2 options with some sort of filler in there. It certainly doesn't feel that way now. There's a lot more competition across the board, and it is quality. So I definitely agree with that. I think that's absolutely positive and something that moving forward in the next couple of games, I think we'll be able to continue this sustained run. Obviously, we've got Aberdeen, top of the table clash. They're grinding out results as well. I think that's something that goes unnoticed. For me personally, I was speaking to one of my friends at work. He's an Aberdeen supporter, and he actually says that he believes that, much like we've said about Celtic getting to Europe against Dortmund, going against Atalanta, but he says if we try to play the way that we normally play against Celtic, we will get slaughtered. So I think that one's going to be very interesting to see. Is it going to be 2 managers? Well, we'll always play the way we do, particularly at home, but is it going to be another situation, a manager sticking to principles at all costs and maybe getting punished? Or are they going to show that they've actually got something where they could potentially split Celtic Rangers this season?
So I'd love to see them split us, but they're not going to beat us, I don't think. I've watched the game back, the highlights against Hearts. They were all right, but they're vulnerable, and that's what I'll say. Nah, it's not going to be 5-0, it's going to be 4-0, mate. I'll say right now, we'll beat Aberdeen 4-0. That's exactly what it's going to be, and that's not me just giving my 4-0 out there, but I just think we'll have a bit too much for them. I think that, like they said, if they come at us, if they come out of the traps and don't sit back against us, then we've just got the pace to absolutely demolish them. Yeah. And I think a couple of early goals, the heads will go down. And
I would expect, as I say, at home, I would expect us playing our game. I think we'll take them out. I think we'll get past them quite comfortably. I think they've got more of a chance against Rangers. I think that'll be a huge game in the next set of fixtures, definitely. When I look at Dundee, when I look at Motherwell, I think that we will be able to dispatch them comfortably. The semi-final, I think, should take care of itself. I know I'm looking far ahead of myself, but the next 2 big ones, Atalanta away is massive. again, when we've done the preview, I think we looked at the European games and we looked at Dortmund, look at Atalanta, and we sort of, they wouldn't necessarily write them off, but we say you're looking to just get something out of them. So that they too will not define Celtic's European destiny. Absolutely not. The one at home against Leipzig, on the other hand, that's a massive test, one that I still expect us to get through. But I think we find ourselves in a right good position, and I think this international break could have came at a decent time, because we're hoping to get Carter Vickers back in the picture. Taylor, again, get him back as well. Be a bit more competition between him and Valle. So it's came at a good time for us to reset, and particularly off the back of a heavy defeat to Dortmund and then a sticky result against Ross County. I just think to reset, recalibrate, and kick back for the sort of second assault on this next phase of fixtures is very, very good. Usually I complain and say when you've got the momentum behind you, you don't want to stop. We've still got momentum, we're performing well, but we've had two sort of sticky results, and that's a wee bit of regularity you want to get out of. You want to shake them off. You want to get two results, and you don't want to go into the third one and find it may be sticky again, particularly if it was straight into the game against Aberdeen after those two results. You wouldn't. I feel confident we have enough in the tank and be able to get up for it, but I still think that it's good to just get that break before such a big game. So for me, the international breaks came at a good time, and I find ourselves in a really good position. In terms of other news, Paddy, we obviously saw the female team, the girls were in action against Twente, down 2-0 in a inaugural sort of Champions League game down at Hamilton there. Watched some of that myself. Not the worst, nothing to be ashamed of, as we say. There was always going to be a complete level up for them when they go into the European games, because the standard is light years ahead in various countries, and the Champions League's the best of the best. But I thought they gave a good account of themselves, certainly nothing to be ashamed of, and get into their next game. This should be a bit more optimistic at least.
The next game's against Real Madrid, isn't it?
That's a huge game. There's some huge games on that.
To be fair, they get drawn against Real Madrid and Chelsea, who are probably two of the best female teams out there. Chelsea, when you play FIFA, I don't know if you play FIFA, if anybody on here does, but all the kind of top-rated female players are all either for Chelsea, Juventus, or Real Madrid. So I think going up against these superstars is going to cause them a hell of a lot of problems. But listen, it's absolutely fantastic for these young girls getting a chance in there to go out and prove themselves and showcase their talent on the main stage. It's really cool to see.
I mean, the cliche, they're playing against the elite of their respective level in league. And as a Celtic, you're playing against the elite of Europe as well. And that's probably quite a apt thing, because other news and the last news of Celtic over the past week is Celtic are going to be elite, at least in terms of Adidas, because the love them or loathe them, the Adidas kit sponsorship deal, that is going to be getting kicked on, because as we all knew and suspected, in terms of the cash cow that is Celtic FC, Celtic have been one of Adidas's biggest sellers worldwide for any club, football club that is, that they are affiliated with, that they sponsor, and you are going to be getting more Celtic kit. The details of that haven't been fully announced in terms of what the level of the extension is. Is it going to be another 2 year, 3 years, or is it going to be up to another 5? Now, as we knew when we went into this, the 5-year deal that we signed with Adidas originally was the largest in our club's history in terms of shirt sponsorship. And you've got to imagine, Paddy, that any renewal is going to just be more gravy on top. Certainly if you're getting up to level to their elite. Now, folk don't really know what that is. The way that Adidas do things is they tier their teams. So they have like elite teams, then they've got A, then they've got B, then they've got sort of tiers down. And what that basically gets you is if you are elite, it means you get more. That's the simplicity of it. Similar to the way they did with New Balance, you will get replica kits, which are 70 quid. And then they used to call it elite kits, which was New Balance, which is basically player issues. So you'd have like the heat sealed badges, tighter fit, things like that. But you'll get player spec shirts that you can buy as well, genuine or authentic kits as they call them. And usually they're about 110 to 120 quid minimum, if that's your kind of thing. Myself as a shirt collector, I usually be able to pick these up usually on the secondary market for various sources I've got. So I do have a lot of different ones throughout the years. I'll probably be a sucker. They've got me. I'll probably buy them. Or you can alternatively just wait to the end of the season when they get reduced and buy them then. But you'll get more options. But another thing as well is that you will get bespoke designs. Now, elite sides basically get bespoke kit designs for them. What you'll see less of is what they call template kits. So, like for example, Celtic's training wear, the grey from last season, that was actually an old template design that if you had looked 2 seasons ago was available just as sportswear. So you'll get less of that. You'll get less template training wear and shirt designs, and you'll get more bespoke designs that are exclusive to the club and in hand, rather than, as we've seen before, one size fits all, different teams with very similar looking tops. You won't get that, which is, if you're into that kind of thing, with a positive. But what it'll also mean is you'll get more of these collections, like we saw that retro sportswear. Some people loved it. I thought it was horrendous. You will get a lot more of that kind of stuff. And of course, that just means more money for Celtic, doesn't it?
Yeah, 100%. You know me, I'm the soccer dad. I've got fucking everything. If it's come out for Adidas and Celtic this year, I've probably bought it. Spent an absolute fortune. I've got 2 pairs of trainers up there that were released. I've got 6, 7 tops over the last 2 years, and then obviously the hoodies to go with it. You've got absolutely ridiculous. And the like you say, the new stuff that just got released there when they had Lustig out there modelling it and stuff. Some of it looked alright. Some of it wasn't too bad. That was one of these ones that came out where it went, oh wait a wee minute, I would wear that. So I'm quite excited to see what we've got coming. Like you say, I'll not be going out and spend 110 quid on an elite kit. I'll maybe wait to the sales.
More money coming in, plenty more for the club. It can only be positive. You don't have to buy it. Nobody's holding a gun to your head. It's completely optional, and that's the thing. But it's good to see that we're certainly kicking on, and obviously as well, in terms of Celtic as a juggernaut, for sort of financial and from a merchandising standpoint, that's continuing. The status quo's remaining there. Adidas realised exactly what they've got with us, and that can only be good for us. In terms of negotiating, it would put us in a strong position. Yes, we want to stay with these sort of big sportswear organisations, but we've got the advantage here for negotiating. So hopefully that'll bring more into the club, and it'll result in more on the field. So anyway, that is us for the end of it. Quite long there, over an hour, around 15. Thank you to everybody for sticking around. Greatly apologising for the technical difficulties. I have got to go and get a new cable, it would appear. Pain in the arse. But I will get that sorted, because we can't be having that around here. But Paddy, as always, took the wheel, shepherded the ship well. What a man. Love it. Yeah. So anyway, thanks to everybody for staying up this late and joining us. It says, look, international break is here as a pain in the backside, but as and when anything comes through to talk about Celtic, we'll be popping up and we'll be here to talk about it, won't we, Paddy?
Oh, aye, definitely. As soon as anything comes in, I'll be back on to have a wee chat. So I'm just going to wait. I've got some midnight reading, so I'm off to my bed. That'll
absolutely
put me to sleep. So, yeah.
But yeah, in terms of some of the comments there, says folk are asking, 420's asking about the stickers, the magnets. They're free, mate. They're free. Just reach out, send us a message, and we'll just send them. They're free. You don't need to buy them. And the t-shirt on that community, we've picked winners there. Just got to contact us and you'll get it. So we'll give you until Monday to claim it. If not, we'll move it on to somebody else. All right?
Not a problem. Like Steve was saying, if you reach out onto X at CWO
Pod 1888, message. You want stickers, you want magnets, we'll send you free. Nothing cost.
Send me a message. I'm on there as well. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, whatever. Just add me, send us a message, and I'll sort it
out. All free. Anyway, till the next time, take care of yourselves. Thanks for sticking around through some of the technical issues. Appreciate it as always, and hail.